straight out of the horse's mouth. These three men spoke themselves for what they thought about themselves. In the first reading, Isaiah said, I am a man of unclean lips. In the second reading, Paul said, I do not fit to be called an apostle. In the gospel reading, Peter said, I am a sinful man. So Isaiah, Paul, and Peter all said they were not worthy to follow the call of Jesus. I'm not sure what Isaiah meant by a man of unclean lips. I don't know anything about his background. But perhaps when he said unclean lips, he knew that he was a liar, maybe a gossiper, but somehow his language was uncharitable. He didn't think that he was fit to be a prophet. Yet we're told in that first reading, the angel came and touched his lips with a bronze piece of charcoal, as it were, a blazed piece of charcoal. And he became one of the greatest prophets in Jewish history. Most of our messianic prophecies come from Isaiah, that man who used to have unclean lips. And then Paul said, I am not fit to be called an apostle. He was not fit. He was a persecutor of Christians. He was instrumental in the death of the first Christian martyr, the deacon Stephen. He also would go all over the Israel area, even as far west as Damascus in modern-day Lebanon, and round up Christians and bring them back to be imprisoned and maybe executed. He hated Christians till that dramatic ride to Damascus when he was knocked off his high horse. And Jesus said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? His whole life was changed. Not fit to be called an apostle, he became the greatest missionary of all time. 2,000 years ago, the modes of travel were boat or animal or foot. No trains, planes, cars. He went as far west as Spain from Israel. An amazing missionary apostle, this man unfit to be called an apostle. Then there was Peter. When he saw this miraculous catch of fish, he knew he was in the presence of a very holy man. He figured, we can't be in the same boat together. I'm a sinful man. And he committed a few big mistakes after that. Last Supper, Jesus said, before dawn, before the cock crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. At that Last Supper, Peter attended the first Mass said by Jesus. He made his first communion. He was ordained a priest when Jesus said, do this in memory of me. 7 hours later, he denied ever knowing Jesus. Yeah, sinful man, I'd say. And then on Good Friday afternoon, he deserted Jesus. Judas had taken his life. There were 11 apostles left. Only one was at the cross, John. Peter went into hiding. A sinful man indeed. And yet, Jesus asked him, do you love me? He said, yes, Lord, you know I love you. And Jesus made him the first pope. So these 3 great men recognized their sinfulness, but they were changed. Why were they changed? Because God forgave them. Jesus forgave them. And Jesus offers that same forgiveness to us all the time. We are all sinners. I don't know a single person that ever lived, except perhaps for Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is not, was not, will not be a sinner. And yet we can do great things. Just like these 3 individuals here. I looked up a list in the Bible of some other great biblical people and some saints who were not very good at all. Let me read that list to you. Noah got drunk. Abraham was too old. Isaac was a daydreamer. Jacob lied. Leah was unattractive. Joseph was abused. Moses was a murderer and couldn't talk very well. Gideon was afraid. Samson had long hair and was afraid. Jeremiah and Timothy were too young. David was a murderer and an adulterer. Elijah was suicidal. Jonah ran away from God. Naomi was a widow. Job went bankrupt. John the Baptist ate bugs. The disciples fell asleep while praying. Martha worried about everything. Mary Magdalene was demon-possessed. The Samaritan woman was divorced 5 times. Zacchaeus was too short. Timothy had an ulcer. And Lazarus was dead. Pretty bad things. Yet I'd say they're all saints. Not because they led perfect lives. No one leads a perfect life except Jesus and Mary. We're all sinners. But we can become great people. You know, we have a wonderful youth program here. Usually on Sunday nights, they meet after the 5 o'clock Mass. But of course, Super Bowl Sunday supersedes everything, and everything comes to a stop. So they're not meeting tonight. We have got about 200 teenagers that meet there every Sunday night. They really fill up that space there, the upper room. Many times people, when they hear about this, say, wow, what a great youth program we have. Father Bill, they are the future of the church. I say, they are not the future of the church. They are the present of the church. You don't have to wait till you're 20 or 21 or married and with kids to be active in the church. Whether you're 10 or 12 or 16 or 18, you are the church today, the young church today. They're not the future of the church, they're the present of the church. And some of the greatest saints we've had are young people. For example, Teresa of Lisieux, a sickly little girl, entered the convent at age 15, died at age 24 of tuberculosis, did not found a religious order, did not do any great miracles, didn't do anything great, did the little things well. One of the most popular saints of today. Then there's a saint, if we can look at his picture. This gentleman, young man, his name is Carlo Acutis. Carlo Acutis. He's from Italy. He died at the age of 15 of leukemia. He's going to be canonized a saint on April 27th of this year, the Sunday after Easter, Divine Mercy Sunday. What did Carlo do to make him a saint? He was very interested in the internet. He developed websites, so he was really the first millennial to become a saint. His website was all about Eucharistic miracles and devotions to Mary. He had a great devotion. He would bring communion to the sick and homebound. Then he died of leukemia and died of that. He's buried now in Assisi, in the same church where St. Francis of Assisi is buried. His body's there. It's preserved, but not miraculously. It's preserved by some chemicals. In his casket, he's wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. Doesn't he look like just a normal teenager of today? And yet he's a saint. I'm sure he wasn't perfect. I'm sure his parents could tell us some of the things he did as a kid that maybe irked them, whatever. So sainthood is not for those who are perfect. Sainthood is for all of us. Isaiah, Paul, Peter made big mistakes in their lives, but they believed in God. The challenge is, what can you do to make our world a better place? What can you do tonight, tomorrow, the rest of the week? Maybe what you do will not make positive headlines in newspapers. Maybe you won't be canonized as a saint officially by the church. But we have the power to make a difference in people's lives because we are created in God's image and likeness. Do you know what Pope Francis says every time before he receives communion? Do you know what he says? This is what he says before he takes communion every day. Lord, I am not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but only say the word, and my soul shall be healed. The same thing each one of us says. If the Pope says I'm not worthy, then who am I? And Jesus replies, I know you're not worthy, but I'm going to make you worthy. If you allow me to come into you, if you allow me to come part of you, you will be worthy. Don't worry. We don't earn communion. We don't merit communion. We don't, demand it. It is a gift to us who are unworthy, and Jesus is the one who makes us worthy. So I can't think of any reason to absent yourself from communion. You need Jesus, especially at times when you're most unworthy. We say that every time, I'm not worthy. So unworthy as we are, and worthy as were Isaiah and Paul and Peter and all those saints from the Bible I mentioned, we can still do great things. So what will you do? You can listen to people who need your ear. You can let them cry on your shoulder. You can give them a helping hand. You can be with them when they need you. Maybe we can't change the whole world. We can't stop the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. Maybe we can change the little world in which we live. Our home, our neighborhood, our school campus, whatever. We are unworthy, but God says, I forgive your sins. I can make you a better person. Let me lead you. And we can perform our own little miracles every single day, making someone's life a little bit better.